Okay, first of all, I want to say Assalamualaikum and good morning to our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome and selamat datang to Razak School of Government in conversation series with engaging topic balancing act between strength and empathy. Why balance leadership? Before we start, I would love to give a pantun for all guests here, and the pantun goes like this. Mencari timbal si anak dara, di bawah sarang burung tempur. Salam sembah pembuka bicara. Selamat datang untuk semua. Thank you everyone for coming here, and we are honored and pleased to have all of you here, and we are privileged to have Yang Mulia Raja Azura binti Raja Mahayuddin, Chairman of Yusin Tijara Holdings Sdn Bhd, the Board of Directors of Yaping Gold Sdn Bhd, and co-founder of Akrab Resources, and the latest member Board of Trustee at Yayasan Help Onward, YHOW. Remarkable, Yang Mulia Raja Azura, remarkable. So, before we start, here I would like to introduce and invite our CEO, Dr. Kamal Harun, to give a few words before we start the program.
I promise you a short one. I just want to welcome you to RSOG. Thank you for coming to this session this morning. We really appreciate your presence because this is a very open conversation. Santai is a word. And the reason why we have this conversation is because we would like to get feedbacks. We want to be current on the issues of leadership. And these constitute a lot of the components that makes up our learning program. And we deliberately make it a small group so that the conversation can take place. And for today's topic on balancing act between strength and empathy, why balance leadership is a momentous subject. And I have to really appreciate Yang Mulia Puan Raja Azura for coming to us to share her experience in this particular subject. Thank you very much for coming. So please feel free to raise your hand, voice your opinion, and deliberate on the most current challenges that you think we are handling or we are facing, and what potential things could happen next in the area of leadership. For that, once again, thank you very much. We have Satya to moderate the session this morning. Can I just pass it over straight to Satya? Raj? Okay, we'll pass it over to Satya. Thank you very much. Salam.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Kamal. Thank you very much, staff. And we are really honored to have Yang Mulia Puan Raja Azura with us today. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. And thank you all as well for taking time to come here as well to listen and also share your thoughts and ideas for today morning. So before we start, before I get to more maybe serious or tough questions, I think I'd like to start with your personal philosophy and motivation, if you don't mind, Puan Raja. Like, what is your personal philosophy? What drives you and motivates you in the morning before you come to work, before you start your day? What drives you?
Yeah. Maybe when we talk about personal philosophy, I will always align it to my life purpose, the purpose of life. So, you know, everybody will have a different purpose of life. At my age, I'm going to be 50 this year. That's the half of the decade. So the way of how I look at purpose of life have been totally different. Earlier, more maybe about me, more about looking at things of how I want to develop myself to be a better person. Now it's more deep in a way because, you know, being a Muslim, one of the things that I always strive is to ensure that I be able to be the best creation of the Creator. I wanted to ensure that I be able to reach the highest level of heaven. So that is my purpose of life now. So it's no more about the world, trying to be the best of both, but that's the real purpose. So in driving that purpose, I'm trying to see how things can be different in a way of how I conduct my way of working, my way of life. Among the things that I carried with me is about kindness is happiness. So in every day of my, in each day of my life, I will want to ensure that every day I'll be able to do one act of kindness that will make a person happy. And this I learned through an 8-year-old girl when I was in Teluk Intan, because I asked her, what will make your day a good day? And she will say that, Umi, they actually call me Umi, your mother. It is about making one person happy every day, and it will be a good day for me. So from there, I learned to understand more deeply in terms of how am I going to be able to have a rewarding life. Also, that's how things are being driven by me now lah. So it's about having that purpose of life, trying to see whether I can be the best creation for the Creator. That's one. And then ensuring that I will do act of kindness every day. And also feeling blessed every morning that I'm given another day to live. And I always will start my day with prayer. Usually I will just mention, thank you Allah for giving me another day to live. And for whatever things that I'm going to do today, hopefully it will be translated to amal and also good deeds. And hopefully by that I can actually give back all these good deeds to my parents, my late dad and also my mom. She's not well, so I'm also hoping that by doing all these good deeds, I'll be able to then give a good life to my mom as well. So I'm married. I don't have kids, but through my journey of life, because I've been the CEO of Yayasan Peneraju before, we've grown about 25,000 kids there. So I always treated those kids that I've been in touch with as my kids lah. And the prayers goes to all the people that I hope that I've been able to touch their life, and all those people who are in needs, because life can only be a better place if we look at it from a total point of view lah. So that's my philosophy.
Thank you very much for a very inspiring opening. Yeah, it's very, it touches our heart in a very deep way as well. So I know the purpose, when what you mentioned, Raja Azura, I think that is something that we all can relate to, and sometimes we ask ourselves, what is our purpose, what drives us, what motivates us. And I think when you mentioned about family and how much you can do and what you can do and making one person happy in a day, it seems like a small thing, but it's actually, it means a lot to whoever you want to make, you show your kindness to and make happy. Small deeds go a long way. I think that is something that we can truly relate to, and also it's a thought-provoking thing for us as well. Thank you for a very, very nice opening for this session. Before we talk about balanced leadership, I think one of the things is like, when we talk about the word balance, it's always like, people always think that how do we balance something, whether it's balanced diet or balanced lifestyle. There's so many things people be like, oh, there's so many constraints, there's so many things we have to take into account. And the word balance itself is like, oh, it feels like a huge thing, like a huge task, as what Dr. Kamal mentioned, balanced leadership. It's like a big thing, but how do we actually we try to find this meaning of the word balance in our lives? What exactly, when speaking from your experience as someone who has held various different positions, senior positions, meeting people, what does the word balance come to your mind when you?
I think everybody will have a different way of looking at balance, and everybody will have a different definition looking at balance depending on what kind of goal that you want to actually achieve in life, and what are your priorities at some point of life. Because our one is our goals keep on changing. I always talk about the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I think most of you know about Maslow hierarchy of needs, where we at certain age will have different goals that we are looking at. When we started working after graduate, then it's about survival. So the balance of life might be different, because at that juncture we will give more focus on trying to ensure that we will be able to survive, get our own, get being paid every monthly to pay for the rent and all. And then at the next level, after 5 to 10 years, you'll be able to find more stable life. So your balance then will change because you are more stable. Then you'll be able to look at some part of your life, maybe getting married, trying to have family. For some, maybe that is not their priority, so their balance is about finding more exciting life, maybe go traveling. For some, they want to focus on career, so their balance, work and work, like me before, work and work most of the time because I wanted to ensure that I'd be able to really unleash my true potential. And you move up to a different level where you are already known as a subject matter, or you know what you are passionate about or what you want to really be in the future. So you try to start getting yourself to be recognized. You start getting yourself to earn accreditation, certifications, because you want to be at the level that people would be seeing you as a specialist, or people would be seeing you as a leader to some sense. And lastly, it's always about self-actualization. So self-actualization is where you will be able to reach a certain level that you can turn your passion to profession. So you can do things without thinking about, I don't want to compromise my pay for the job or for my passion. Not to say that you have lots of money, but you think you are okay sacrificing your monetary or financial element to achieve something that will be rewarding and fulfilling to you. So balance can be different. So that is where, for me now, the balance is about reaching self-actualization, passion to profession. I don't have lot of money, I have enough. For me, enough is good, because you don't feel like you want to go to thrive more for the monetary bit, but the rewarding and fulfilling things that I think will make my balance is when I see more people getting the impact of things that I do. So how do I create social impact? How do I give back to ensure that more people will be able to get their potential to be unleashed? Because that will be the thing that when I want to go to sleep, I'll be able to see I've done something good, I have done the act of kindness, and I can sleep well for that night. So that is my balance. So everybody will have different balance. Yeah, right.
Thank you, Puan. Yeah, I think when you mentioned about creating an impact, that is something that's very important, creating an impact, and how you help, you develop people, the younger people, and being inspiring and being leading and managing the younger people. I think that's something that we all can learn as well from what you have mentioned. How crucial it is, you think it's important for a person to be a leader to be authentic?
I think before we go to the authentic leadership, I want to also talk about balanced leadership. I think that's very, very important, because in many circumstances, when we look at corporate organization, the drive will always be on performance. But for me, if you want to be a balanced leader, it is very important to have 3 components. One is about performance. Second one is actually about people. So how are you putting yourself into a leadership position to ensure that you will be able to groom people and they will be able to unleash their full potential? I think that's very important. And thirdly is about governance. Yeah, you can be the most profitable organization in the country or in the world, but whether you are doing it the right way, that's important as well. So when you actually blend the 3, my thought, this one is more my thought, an organization will be more successful. It might not be immediately gaining profit, but in mid-term or long-term, you can see the sustainability of the organization will come into play. Because you are doing things the right way, you are actually developing your people well, and at the same time, you are looking at how exactly driving the organization through the right way of putting people, governance, and performance as the component of success. So balanced leadership is about putting importance to the 3 elements. so that an organization can be sustainable. Why organization can't be sustainable is because we sometimes only look into one of the elements. Profitable, but I don't care lah. You can be, doing it maybe in compliance to some of the rules and regulation. Or, I don't care about the people. I just want the profit. So it will not last long. So it is how do you create the three to work together and blend it to ensure that it can reach a certain level of success. It will take time, but it can be sustainable. That's how I see it. When we talk about authentic leader, that's something pretty interesting, because authentic leader is a leader who would be able to speak, for me, more of my thought. They can actually speak from their heart. Whenever they speak or whenever they talk about certain things, you can feel them. You can connect with them very well. And it comes because authentic leader usually will be a person who will then be sincere about what they want to do. Because sincerity means a lot to people who are working with you. That is how you'll be able to build trust among the community or your team to be able to actually drive some of the objective or some of the goals that you want to drive for the organization or for the entity. Authentic leader also will always put their people as one of the key components to success. So whenever you want to do certain things, it's not always about you, it's always about we. But I always say two things. When you want to be a leader, it's always about we. So it's about you and your team. But when we talk about development or personal growth, it's always about me. So the person needs to really be looking at himself and try to see how he can progress better. Because most of us, when we want to progress, we always look at things by comparing others lah. Comparing, I'm going to compare myself to Satya, very good lah, can speak well, performance-wise, tip-top. That you can always try to replicate or get all the good things from Satya, but you have to see how you yourself would be able to progress. The failure of sometimes a person individually would be able to unleash their potential is because most of the time they are trying to replicate another person, but not looking at the person, him as an individual to be able to contemplate himself. Yeah, an authentic leader will be the leader who will be able to assist and guide. Yeah, all your staff, maybe the people that you know, who is raw gems that have not been able to shine, to now shine. So you need to be able to then show them the way, sincerely, no fake of telling them, you are good, all the good stories. You need to be able to have that open conversation and talk about the truth. Reality sometimes bites, but I always think that by telling the reality in the right manner, you'll be able to groom not just the people within you, but the organization as a whole.
Thank you, Juan. Just to come back to that, what do you think are some of the skills that a leader needs to have in order to be able to perform and be a better leader, or be more balanced, more authentic? I think maybe communication is one of the things that is.
I think communication and engagement is really, really important if you want to be an authentic leader. But the other one is about walking the talk. That's very important, because whatever that you say, you should be able to also do. I give you an example. When I was back in Malaysia Airlines, I used to be the chief internal auditor of Malaysia Airlines at one time. We are doing a transformation for the department. Not many people like internal auditors, right? So my goal at that juncture is to ensure that by the end of 3 years of our transformation, people will seek for auditors to come and audit them, other than us wanting to go and audit you. So that is my goal that I've set lah. And one of the initiatives that we have in the transformation is to ensure that we have competent auditors, because at that juncture, if I'm not mistaken, none of them are certified. Not a CIA, not CA graduates or whatnot lah. That is back in 2005. Yeah. So I have to walk the talk. When I say that, okay, we're going to have this program that all of you, we will take 10 every year, 3 of you will go for certification. Take the certified internal auditor, you become certified accountant or not. So we open, and that will be sponsored by the department, managed to get the budget at the juncture. And I made an announcement that I'll be sitting with you for the certification. So I'll be taking the exam with you for the certification. And we'll see whether I will pass the exam. So it's a tough thing to do, wanting to walk the talk. Because when you sit for the exam, your staff will then, kalau boss boleh sit for exam, takkan aku tak boleh kot. At that age, then, you rally them to be with you. And then we have more than 3 actually for the first year wanting to come on board. So that's how you walk the talk. So in anything that you talk about, you need to be able to show and lead the way. And Alhamdulillah, I pass. On the day, whenever the exam day, I will take 1 day off, not wanting them to know whether I pass or fail. But Alhamdulillah, I pass the exam. And we have more than 10 within the 3 years into the journey. And you see the level of competency of the people in the organization then have been even recognized by the management. And the transformation actually took on pretty well because they believe when you walk the talk, especially when you are doing transformation, it's very important for you to be able to show certain level of commitment, and you will also be with them doing certain things. So one example is the certification. So
basically, in a way, it's also inspiring and motivating them as well. By you also, joining them to take the exams, right?
Yeah.
Really, that's really a leader who walks the talk, basically.
Yeah.
Because either way it can go. You may also fail or anything, but you're willing to take the challenge and that risk. So that is definitely an authentic, true leader, I would say.
Having tough conversation is the other one. Not easy, but you have to do it. It is how you want to actually say it that's very important. Whether you want to say it in a positive way, it is an issue, but how do you then approach the issue in a proactive way that people can accept what you want to say? That's very, very important. Maybe I can give an example. I have, there's one initiative that I have been tasked, maybe not that one yet. I have a non-performer in my team. You always have that, right? I have a non-performer, not one, but few in my team. And I'm trying to see how exactly I want to manage the person. I know that the person actually have his strength, but he have not been able to really focus on his strength, but he is trying to always blame people for him not performing. So it will work. So having the tough conversation, usually I will start it with all the positive points that I know about the person. So Ahmad, you've been with the organization for the past 10 years. Throughout that 10 years, you have been doing A, B, C, D, E. And in you, there are lots of good traits that you may not realize. When you do certain things, when you do this audit, when I was in the audit department, when you do this audit, you are a detailed person, you've been able to detect issues, you are able to really come up with good recommendation. But there are a few things that, if you are able to really perform well, you'll be much better than where you are now. And these are the traits that you need to be improving. So, you can inject your net up dulu, and then, then it's not about your weaknesses, but it's about areas of improvement. So the reception is more proactive and positive from the person itself. And you need to be able to tell what are the things that they need to be doing. Specify it. You don't go and say, you get your HR people to do it. It's not just me, because we do the gap analysis, see where he can improve and all, and have that conversation. You need to start having that conversation. You cannot just be saying that my staff have not been performing. It's not going to work. So having tough conversation is also another trait of an authentic leader.
Yeah, because the tough conversation, sometimes the leader might think, oh, I might become unpopular,
Yeah.
that person might not like me, so
Yeah.
how are we going to communicate further or communicate in future? But that conversation will be very important in order for that person to improve, and also for the leader to see the potential and also work towards the company, the organization goals. I think that's very important. Before I move on, anybody want to ask questions, initial questions, or any thoughts or ideas that we...
I just want to pick up on the point of tough conversation. How much do you instill into that person that me being a leader, I'm not right all the time? Like for example, sometimes when you have a tough conversation, you tend to feel that you're going to have to be a little bit ahead of that person. My personal experience is you would have some, you would impose some damage in that approach. So how do you balance that while you are directing that person or the person to a certain direction, but you don't want to sound that you're all the time ahead of him? That, you know, he has his strength as well.
Usually what I will do is also talking about I am a human, I make errors, and I personally are also improving myself. So doesn't mean that when I talk about a person that he has to improve, that I don't have any weaknesses that I need to improve lah. So on that manner he knows that okay lah, you know, fair enough lah. And I always open the door for any of my people to come and criticize, but criticize in proactive manner. It needs to be in positive way. So in any conversation that we have in the organization, we will always try to deal with it proactively and positively. So proactive and positive words are very, very important. So in conversation at the office, no matter how bad it is, you have to appear to be positive. No matter, you know, you get the toughest test, you need to be able to speak proactively. You need to be able to give hope as leaders. You need to be able to say very directly about the situation. If you don't know, I've mentioned many times that, you know, I am not able to give you the direct or the clear direction at this juncture because of A, B, C, D, E. And I'll come back to you. Because you can't let your people wait, keep on waiting to know what's going on. So you need to tackle that very, very fast and try to ensure that people are, you know, they are calm enough to continue with whatever conversation that you want. But again, usually I will also say things like that. You know, I'm not perfect. I'm also trying to have improvement for myself. I have weaknesses, you know, and if there's anything for you to also maybe, you know, I will always open that conversation for him to also maybe provide the feedback to me lah. Yeah.
So I think in this context, self-awareness is very important,
Yeah.
right? I think. How important is it for you think?
Yeah. I think self-awareness is really critical because in any circumstances, if a person would want to be a successful person, self-awareness play an important role. And how do we then be able to be self-aware of ourselves? One is by assessing our own self. But SWOT lah. So I did my first SWOT at the age of 8. Maybe I just open up a bit in terms of my personal.
A very young age to start
Yeah.
SWOT.
A young age, yeah. I was not born normal. I have a cleft problem. I was a cleft baby. So I have lots of inferiority in me when I was small. So my voice is not the voice that you hear before and now. It's even worse before. So people can't understand what I say. So when I was 8 years old, I was talking to my mother. And then I asked my mother why God created me, or, you know, not like my other sisters. Why am I not an ordinary person or just an ordinary person just like others lah? My family members, my siblings, more again. But one thing that my mom has said to me that then made a turning point for my life, when I actually she mentioned about, you know, God created human equal. What differentiates all of us is our weaknesses, our strengths, our goods and our bads. So wahai anakku Azura, you go out there, find your strength. If you know of your strength, you'll be able to create wonders in life. You'll be able to just be like any other person, or you can be even better than them. Know your weaknesses, try to improve it, and you'll be able to be just exemplary. So that is what I did at the age of 8 lah. So I went out there, tried to see what am I good at. Okay lah, try sports, run lah, 100 meter, 200, 400, long jump, high jump and all. Then I realized that I'm good at sprinting. I'm good at jumping. So at the age of 11, I'm already representing the state for athletic, for netball and all lah. So I did that very early. So in every level of my life, I will always revisit my SWOT. So you need to be able to do that. You need to do self-reflection. Yeah? I did that every 6 months. Yeah? Every 6 months, find a day, go to spa, while having my spa, massage, facial. Then I start reflecting back of the things that I've done for the past 6 months, whether I'm on the right track, whether I've done something wrong, whether I need to improve certain things. It can be in writing, it can also be in our mind. At our age, usually we don't have planning and all. I used to have that. I used to have 3 plans: financial plan, life plan, career plan. In writing, revisited every 6 months before. But now no lah, because it's more in the mind. But we need to be able to do the self-reflection. Because for us to move to a greater height, for us to be a better person, if we don't have self-awareness, you can't do that, because you don't know what you are good at, what you are not good at, especially when you are a leader, and you need to be able to engage your people. You need to be able to know your leadership style. Are you, a bureaucratic leader? Are you a flexible leader? So that you know how to tackle your people, and you can actually tell them, this is how I work, and this is my leadership style. So hopefully everyone will be able to align to you. So that's why self-awareness is very, very critical. And by knowing yourself, you'll be able to open up the door for people to know you better. And when they know you better, the relationship and the engagement, the communication will be able to then happen even much better lah. When you yourself didn't know yourself, that's where people get confused of you and how to work with you lah. So you need to be able to open up yourself as a leader, and sometimes you have vulnerabilities lah. And I always acknowledge my vulnerabilities to others upfront, and tell them not to always use my vulnerability to their advantage. Yeah, so then when you have that open conversation, it's easier for you to engage and also to lead.
Oh, very inspiring. Sorry, do you have a question? Yeah.
Purposely, intentionally, I bring him just to expose. I think this kind of this kind of like chat over coffee ni penting juga when it comes to empathy leadership, especially to the young generation. So I have this in my mind. I always tell my SMF, Secretariat Mahasiswa Fakulti, and also MPP, the importance of, as a leader, invite instead of instruct, which means we work together. I just want to tanya lah, from your pengalaman, insight and reflection, yeah, how do you view relationship and gap? Sebab kita tahu dalam organisation ni kadang-kadang dia ada gap. Oh, aku leader, so aku tak boleh sebenarnya mix dengan kau macam ni kan. And then there are actually instances I tengok leader dia okay je dealing with their staff, subordinates dengan jalan sama-sama, buat kerja sama-sama. So I would like your perspective, your experiences, macam can you share with us how you view relationship and also gap? Thank you.
Maybe when we look at relationship and gap lah, as a leader, kan, not every leader will have the same thoughts, but this is my thought. We need to be able to treat others just like how we want ourselves to be treated. So that is me. So meaning that if as a leader, I will always think about, if I want my staff to treat me well, I have to treat them well. But that didn't happen for every leaders lah. So my advice also to many out there, when you have, you can't compare leader apple to apple. Yeah, you can't compare leader apple to apple because leaders have different style, leader have different way of doing things lah. When you are actually dealing with your leader, importantly you need to understand the style of the leaders with your leadership style, so that you can align yourself to your leaders better, and then you can actually minimize the gap. What are the things that will make him listen to you better? For example, now I sit in some of the board for public listed, for board of trustee and all. So I always advise the management, when you want to go to the board and present something, know your chairman well. If your chairman is an accountant, your paper should be financially driven. If your chairman is actually a lawyer, you must make sure that the paper actually project you are complying, you are addressing the act or whatever not, because it's very important for them to connect to you. So same goes with you when you are with your CEOs or your leader. So you need to know when to push the button, when not to push the button. Yeah? Usually then it will really help manage the gap. I can give you another example. Whenever I want to go and present a paper to the CEO before, I will always go to the secretary and ask, how's the weather today? Is it bright or is it like, putih menyambar or what? Then you'll know how best for you to meet your leaders and address the issues. So you're bringing a paper and then you know that it's not a good day, you go straight to the point and say that this is what you want. I don't want to waste much of your time. If it's a good day, it's a good weather, how are you, boss? You having a good day, how's your weekend? You can start that conversation. So you know of how to approach. That's very important. The issue is when both parties, I'm a leader, you have to follow my leadership style. I'm your staff, you need to be able to understand me. So it won't resolve the problem. So you need to be able to see which direction which one do you need to undertake. If your leader is actually an open leader, very versatile, you can always come and have that open communication, then you approach him as such. Else you have to then use different way but know when to push the right button, whether it's the green button, go button or the stop button. Because by doing that, you'll be able to manage the issue and also addressing the gaps and know what he likes or she likes. Then you can start your conversation with things that he or she love to talk about. Then it will open up the conversation and the session will be more casual. Kalau tak, it's going to be formal. One thing that I always do whenever I approach a room, last time I learned this when I was in accounting firm So I approach a room of a leader, I will see the whole room and see what is there for me to talk about. So if a lot of pictures, family pictures, then you know he's a family man. So have you been spending quality time with your family during the weekend? And then you can see the gambar, a rider doing some activities. Then have you gone for a ride during the weekend? So how do you want to start the conversation is very important. You need to get the right thing to talk about. People with very clean table, this is what I learned as well. Yeah, clean table, straight to the point. So I went to the room. Good morning. Yeah, I'm here to actually ask you a few things and want to get some approval. So I'll explain directly. So some people you can see things are all over. So meaning he is all over as well. So sometimes for him to get to your point, it will take a lot of explanation, and you need to be able to explain further. So these are some of the tricks that I have been doing during my youngster days to tackle leaders. So you really need to know which button to push, what is his liking. Sometimes, suka coffee bean. You came to the room and bring him. Your favorite drink, sir. Settle 50% of the problem already. Like me, I cannot, don't come and see me when I have not have my breakfast. So my people, whenever they want to come to my room, because of an emergency, they'll bring one nasi lemak for you. That is it's going to be a good conversation because I'm eating well. If I don't have anything yet, and then I will ask them all kind of questions they know already. So I even told them, I even told my staff. So if you want to meet me, I will always be early in the office. If you see that I didn't have my breakfast yet, don't come to the room. Definitely, I'm not going to be in a good mood when you approach me when I'm hungry. So these are the important things. Small things matters. These are the small things that you can do to make things better and to reduce the gap. I hope I answer your question. Point. Yeah.
If I just add, that's also like learning through experience, I think, one, and also good observation. And then I think it's also managing people, how the skill, the tact that you need to read the room, is what you mentioned, and seeing how they're going to behave, or what if you want to get something done, if they're not in a good mood, then you might not actually achieve that on that day. So these are things very, very important, I think, that it's. Anyone else has any thoughts or ideas to share or questions? Okay, I will ask, can you tell us like a scenario where you had to face this tough decision of, you have to maybe motivate your staff, but at the same time you have these deadlines to meet, and how do you actually, what do you do? How do you apply your problem solving skills, or how do you motivate your people? What do you use here?
Can you repeat the question?
So can you give like an example where you had to, maybe you had to deal with staff who are non-performers, but at the same time you also have these deadlines to meet, and you have to balance both. What do you apply? What skills do you apply, or how do you, or knowledge? What do you do to resolve the situation?
I always spend more time with the non-performers because I wanted to ensure that they would be able to reach certain potential. Because I always believe that everybody have their own potential. It's about how do you then help groom them and let them see that these are the potential that they have that can grow. So maybe to give example, when I was in the audit during last time, I have this one manager who's not performing. So I've been having problem because all his audit reports, whenever he reach me, then he has to I have to kind of redo after review, 3-4 times of review, tak settle. So there's one time what I did is I called him and sit down with him at his place. And don't come to my room, I go and sit down with you, and I'll teach you how to do things in a proper way. I know that there are deadlines, but working hours is only until 5:30, so I stayed back with him until 10 o'clock to show him and to ensure that he understands how to do things the right way and able to deliver what is required. I think that's where after that night, his report has been on spot. And he told me, until now, that is like, 15 years ago, so I met him about a year ago, and he said he can always, that is something that he always remember, because notwithstanding we have a deadline to meet 2 or 3 days to submit to the audit committee during that time, you actually sacrifice your time sitting down with me, going through every single thing to ensure that the report is okay, but at the same time want him make sure that the report will be on spot after again. So you need to be able to sacrifice certain part of the balance that we talked about earlier to make things happen for the non-performers. And sometimes what you have to do also, when people are not performing, it's not because they are not good. I always have that in mind. And I always think that it's more of the non-matching of roles, or maybe he is not well motivated to do certain things. So how do you then be able to really review his potential and look at how exactly he can still be able to perform in certain ways wherever he can. So that is the part that we need to be doing because I trust you don't want to see anybody fail. You know, usually there will be failure. Out of 10, 1 you can't save. But as much as you can, because you will always have the curve. Katalah you have 3 performers, 3 non-performers, the rest average, you can save another 2 to make sure that they are at least at average, or they can really shine like other performers So sacrificing time. Or sometimes you have to go by instruction. That's another way When there's so many things that you have to do, that you have deadlines, you will go by instruction. This is what you have to do. You just have to do A, B, C, D, E, and don't get it wrong. Because I need to get this done on time. But I still have buffer time for them because I know sometimes you just need to intervene again
Interesting. But sorry.
Particularly with the quote-unquote younger generation. Okay, I think one of the challenges that some of our senior leaders, I mean, when I say senior, people of our age, is the ability to recognize that the approaches adopted by the younger generation may differ from yours. We are so used to this approach, right? And for some reason, we are blinded from an alternative approach that could happen, that could make things happen. And the openness and the willingness to impart that thought and say that, yes, you are entitled to bring up your ideas so long as we got this job done. Yeah, I think, I mean, likewise, I'm dealing with students at one time, and they would love to offer their approach, which is perhaps very strange to us, but they know the final ultimate objective, and they want to do it my way. So I think acknowledging that is another challenge that most of perhaps leaders in our generation is facing. That's just my thought. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that as well. I think as a leader, I think a thought leader will do this as well. A thought leader will allow their people to fail and then rise again to do the right thing. So there are times, somehow is when they say, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I think, it's going to be superb I'm going to be, I'm going to be able to reach my KPI, not just reach, but actually exceed my KPI, by doing this. Somehow it's not going to work. You say maybe you can tweak a bit you do it this way or that way, because we go by our experience and wisdom. Somehow No, I think it's going to work. It's going to work. By all means, usually I will let them do it. I know that, it's subject to failure. So long as at overall level it's not going to be a crisis, I will let them go through the process. I think that's very important. Because if they don't learn the hard way, by failing, they will always think that, the ideal is reality. So we cannot let the ideal way not being tested and let them be in reality and know, oh, it doesn't work. Betul lah, itu point kata is right, one mention. Then they will refine it. And we have, as a leader, we have to be able to then accept failures. Just that, ensure that they will not do the same thing and failing it the same way ever again. So they will need to learn their lessons, and from there they'll be able to then be a better person. And if you were to look at many successful or extraordinary leaders, they always fail when they try things and they rise up and be such an extraordinary person.
Successful leaders.
I think above all, you gain trust from each other.
Yeah, true.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
If you have one leader, potential leader, you want to speak your mind on it.
Yeah.
The point that you may gain trust, we all know.
I think in regards to maybe different approach is very true, especially with the new technologies and maybe ChatGPT and so on. But I think at the end of the day, it's still a mutual thing where we need to understand how the seniors are doing and how we adapt to it. Because even though we are using the new technologies, it doesn't mean that the old method is irrelevant. Sometimes we can also integrate and even improve on the things. But this comes to my question when you say about empathy. Basically, when we want to help someone, we hold their hand in order to maybe to complete a task. It's a very good thing. It's very an empathic thing that we can do. But how do we know what's the line for us to stop, for being not to overcommit, and even sometimes it can also backlash toward us. So what's the line?
Usually what I will do, empathy is actually about putting yourself in another person's shoe so that you know how exactly you want to help them. It's not about, kesian, I pity you. It's not. Empathy is about understanding. You put yourself into a person's shoe and see how exactly you want to help them. And for me, usually whenever I want to help a person, I will always describe the rule, my friend. You know, this is what we're going to do, and this is what I am expecting us to achieve throughout the collaborative action that we are undertaking, and both have to be committed. If you are not committed, and I do, and it fail because of not the non-commitment, I shall not pursue it. Because you don't want to waste your time further lah. That's how I see it lah. So you need to put the boundaries or the lines much upfront. You have to tell them much upfront of what can you commit, and what can you commit and what you can't commit. I think that's very important because you don't want later on you get blamed for the things that unnecessarily lah. Because this kind of people, we always try to find ways to justify why things didn't happen for them, can. So put that very much up front. So when it reach that boundaries, you know when to stop. That's my personal view lah. Maybe there are also other views from the floor, if anybody would like to share as well. Yep.
Just on the empathy part, this question may be controversial, but I'd just like to ask, do you think that female leaders have more empathy than male leaders because of societal roles? Like we are supposed to be, more sensitive and more understanding and more loving and more compassion. Is that something, or it's actually equal in the real world?
Most of my encounter, I can say that women leaders have more empathy lah. Not all. I don't say that men leaders are not. There are some also, but more on I think the woman leader, because women leaders dealt with managing kids, managing their husband in a way. Then they understand things on the ground much better, and they feel more connected when it comes to people issue. That's how I see it lah. And then the traits of men and women also, they have different traits. That's how I see it. Men are more visionary, more strategic, more high level, more looking at rationale. Women, because I'm in some boards, when they make decisions, sometimes I feel that they are making nasty decisions. And then I was saying that, don't you want to think about the people point of view? that needs to come into play when we do certain things, so that it's going to be a win-win situation. But not all men leaders don't consider that they are also lah. But women leader will always have that thought coming into play much earlier. So whenever there'll be termination of 1,000 staff, how do you want to handle it? Is it by law or is it by win-win and all? In many circumstances, then the empathy will always come more from the women leaders. I'm not saying that men are not, but usually the thought process for the women leaders will be coming much earlier for empathy lah. But we need to be able to also balance that because sometimes we have too much empathy, pun it's not good. So how do you have to? You need to be able to cut have that boundary lah. Maybe I can relate to a story when I was in Yayasan Peneraju as the CEO. At the earlier part of the journey as a CEO, where the scholarship that we give actually is for underprivileged. And what most interesting, because we are not focusing on excellent student, we are looking at average student, underprivileged with high potential, because we want to quantum leap the student. The one who's excellent, other scholarship can take, but we will then go for those who are average but have potential. So, you know, when you interview all of them, because all are underprivileged, you feel like all of them deserve the scholarship. But interestingly, I went to the council. The council is actually being chaired by the Prime Minister and few ministers. So I told the story of these kids, because there are 222 of them, and we have to shortlist 100. So we have shortlisted 100 of the scholars actually. But I told the story about the kids, the journey that I've had with them throughout the interview session, because we went from one state to another. We even went to some kampong to get to understand their problems and issues. And by telling stories with empathy, I got all of them to get the scholarship instead of 100. So
Very impressive.
if you know how to use the empathy when you skill really well, you'll be able to get that level of advantage as well. And there's another story I want to tell as well, because when we have all these kids being sponsored, because we in Yayasan Peneraju, I'm very blessed. We managed to secure about 200 million fund or pledge from companies like corporate organisation. So we feel blessed, and we then ask some of the scholars, our students, to write to our pledges, to write to our sponsors, and say thank you to the chairman, to the CEO, and all that. Just to say that, you know, you have been able to help change my life, and all that. And we got more pledges coming on board. And personally, the leaders are contributing to the family of the underprivileged. So we need to be able to be creative and innovative in terms of how do we want to use traits that we have, or even circumstances to get an advantage. Just that don't take advantage, but try to use it, because it's not for ourselves. It's more for the people again. So how do you want to do it in a proper way to ensure that you'll be able to gain support and get things to happen proactively and positively, especially when it creates social impact.
Very, very inspiring. But yeah, because it's
In relation to your stories, I found that very, very interesting. With regards to empathy among leaders, nature versus nurture. So throughout your experience, what do you think about empathy to inculcate or to learn empathy? So do you experience having module or intensive courses just to expose and learn about empathy and all that, so that ultimately, at the end of the day, we have more leaders with EQ and empathy?
I don't have modules. Maybe we can have one. I don't have modules, but I always go through this. I thought this is something that I came up with myself, the 3H principle. And I call it leader at. If you want to be a leader at heart, which have empathy and all, then you have to then look at things from this 3 angle. 3H, which is your head, very practical, your hands, and your heart. So in anything that you do, because you want to inculcate great things or great values in you, including empathy, you need to be able to go on the 3. So head is about knowledge. So in anything that you want to do, if you want to create a module on empathy, right, you need to be able to be aware of knowledge. And you know, and sometimes every day we learn new knowledge. But most importantly is actually to go to the next H, which is your hands, to put that in action. And once you put that in action, it becomes habitual. From habitual, it becomes part of you, which is your heart. It will be instilled in your heart. So when we want to talk about empathy, that is where, if you want to bring your student or whatnot, one is about creating the awareness about empathy, maybe putting ourselves into another person's shoe. Maybe usually do all the CSR thingy and all, right? And then get them to put that into action, but not once. Once is just for social media purpose. Okay, you need to get them to repeat. That's what I encourage. And then once you keep on doing, and then it's going to be part of you. As a leader, as an individual, then you know the values will be within you. So it's like, you know, the head, the ilmu, you get the knowledge. Knowledge you turn to action. What kind of action do you want to undertake? And then you turn that to become part of your values lah. Yeah. And that's where many of the foundation, because I'm actually currently assisting one of the foundation, nurturing and grooming their scholars. So we have our module, don't have really exactly on nurture, on empathy, but they are module on, they have to then go out there, do CSR, and then come back, not once, repetitively, till that can be blended as part of themselves lah. So I hope that answers my question. Yeah, so it's the 3H, the head, the hands, the heart. Yeah.
If I, sorry, just
Yes.
go ahead.
Thank you for that sharing. I just wanted to make a comment about female leaders, because I think it's very important, and it's good that the fact that, you know, you are by definition a female leader. And there's a lot of research to show that actually even board effectiveness, that boards that have more women, and we're fortunate in Malaysia because now the Securities Commissioner mandated that the requirements of 30% females. And there's a lot of research, even in America and other parts of the world, to show that those boards and leadership groups are more effective. And one of the things that women do much better than men generally is the inclusivity of the conversation. So it's additional, you know, in the style of iterative dialogue. While men will say, yes, I agree, but. And it's the but is always the thing that is then the issue that goes back and forth. So that even the style of dialogue is different. And I think that's a very important distinction. I think that also that women who try to adopt masculine traits, one of the things I do is an inventory of masculinity and femininity on people's individual profile. And it's quite surprising that, you know, some men are quite, in the terms of the inventory, feminine and vice versa. So, you know, women who behave more like men in a sense of a masculine dominance in the conversation do less well than women who behave like women, if that makes sense. So it's very strong, the feminine, female characteristics, which are very important in leadership. And I've sat on all male boards versus mixed boards, and I can tell you the atmosphere and the dialogue is very, very different. So when I discuss gender with my students, I separate them by gender, because men's perspective of women and women's perspective of women are completely different. And it's very interesting, and they learn significantly. I mean, it's a bit like the story of introverts and extroverts. You know, people's ability to have a conversation is very different based on your preference. So thanks for sharing that. I just thought I'd add to the female strong representation, which I think is very important. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Prof. I think that's good points highlighted as well, that we learned today. We can talk about that more.
Yes.
I'd love to learn about
Through
feminine
lunch,
and also,
maybe.
yeah, the masculine traits.
I guess a combination of both would be the best.
Yeah.
Well, I learned that very much because, particularly on the details, I'll be banking my hope on the ladies more than
Well, we talk about leaders and individuals. What about organizational culture? How much do you think it's important for the organization itself to set the culture of, you know, being balanced, and then not only focus on results driven, but at the same time to focus on managing their people, how you inspire, how to unleash potential? How much do you think it's?
I think that is where from the very beginning when you are coming into an organization, usually if you are a CEO or a HR person, is to look at how exactly you want to drive the culture right. And usually one way of driving the culture right is through setting the right values lah. Setting the right values. Some of the organization that I've been joining into, for example, I was in Kazana for only a year for a secondment, but you know that when you get into the organization, you have to then align to their values. Because there are set of values, and when you get into that organization itself, you would be able to see the values are being implied. It's the unseen, but you know that they are implying the values. You come into another organization that they have fantastic values, but when you actually walk into the organization, value, yeah, but you're not walking in the top in terms of the values lah. So when we want to actually talk about organization culture, it is very important in the values that you have set and how you ensure that every single, if not every single people in the organization, but the tone at the top must be walking the talk about the values. How do you then translate the values that you have mentioned into every action that has come into play in the organization? One of the famous values is what? Integrity. So how then you, as a leader, would be able to then imply or show action on integrity in every single thing that you do, including reaching office on time, as much as that. So you know when transformation happened, because I did another transformation in when I was a CHRO, trying to transform the people agenda during that time. Not saying that in the values focus too much about time management, but we talk about discipline of action. So when it's discipline of action, people would be able to see one of the key things is about reaching office on time. So I will always make sure that I will be at the office before other people, not really other people reach lah. But the office hours is 8:30. By 8, I will be at the office already. And I will not leave, except if I were to have meetings outside, before 5:30. This one is before lah. Now we have work from home and all again. But it's very important for us to be walking the talk in terms of the values lah, so that it will become a culture. And people, you know, the staff will be, alamak, if my boss can do that, why can't I?
Yes.
Then it's easier for us to talk about it as well, because we are implying and we are putting that into action. And usually I will say, you know, myself -1, -2, you must be able to portray that. And then, you know, we have a calendar that if you are not in the office, everybody have to log in, and you have to put through lah, you are here, you are wherever, so that people will know. If your staff is saying, oh, tu lah, boss pun tak datang, you know, they didn't come on time, why should I be there? Oh, your boss is actually attending a meeting elsewhere. So you'll be able to stand by your team and saying, you know, they are actually working the talk, that just that they are not in the office. So some of the key action needs to be there when you want to actually create organization values and wanting people to be part of transformation journey. It's usually, interestingly, whenever you go through transformation journey, you learn a lot, especially on creating the value that is most important to the organization. The other one is about, when we talk about organization value, it relates to culture, kan? When we talk about organization culture, it relates to value. The other one is about repeating things over and over and over again that they will remember. That is part of their value lah. Yeah, and translating it down to the lowest level. Yeah, example that I can give, when we do our transformation in HR lah, I met the driver on the ground lah, and then we talk about, you know, we want to do transformation, we want to be able to create HR even as an income earner, not just about giving service, but we should be able to derive income for HR during that time. And I told him, what is your role? Your role is actually to drive me and ensure that I will be at a meeting on time. Because we need to be able to convince the people of our agenda and get things approved. If I want to go to meet the CEO, so it is not about the bigger picture, but you actually cascade it down to the level of where they would be able to translate the values to action in their own way. The tea lady, you have to make the best coffee for our staff, so that when they have your coffee, and wow, sedap, it's good, delicious, yummy, they'll be able to do their work well. So how do you relate to the nitty-gritty of things that they do every day that will turn to action of creating the organization culture and value is very important. That's how usually we'll drive the activity. A bit tiring because you have to, then because they won't be able to understand the bigger picture. You talk about the value or whatnot, but you need to be able to put it into action lah. Everybody, kalau this value, how do you want to action upon it? Then they'll be able to understand it well, and then see how they would be able to contribute to what you have put through as the vision and the mission of either the department, division, or even the organization.
This is recognizing the role of each individual in the organization has to play. That's very important. Otherwise, as what you said, maybe the driver or the tea lady, they might not understand, this is the goal of the organization, or we have to achieve this target, we have this program. So, but then giving importance, you have to send me to this meeting, decision making, things like that, then that's something that really adds value, and also for them to be appreciated, I think, in the organization, which I think is very, very, very important in this sense. Yeah. Anyone else has questions or comments? Yeah.
Thanks. This is all going so well that I want to throw in how do you say it? It's just something different. And it's some of the coaching work I do. One of the leaders who I'm coaching said to me, actually when I think back, because I ask people who inspired them and, who's inspired you and why are you where you are and that type of thing. But some of them, and it's happened to be more than once, and that's why I think it's it's to me was unexpected. They said, actually, one of the best bosses I ever had was the worst boss, because I learned so much from him or her. And, the people were frightened to go and see him or her, but actually, I learned a lot from him. Because I delivered, he treated me quite well. But for those that didn't deliver, he was terrible to them. I mean, do you have any view on that? Because I'm trying to sort of think that through. What would be an interesting dialogue to have around that.
I think that goes back to the points of understanding your leaders that I talked about. Let me see whether I can relate any of my. I can relate that to one of my experience in accounting firm. I used to work with Arthur Anderson when I was young. Now no more lah, and Ron Keys. Okay, we have the toughest boss, which is a lady called Puan Habibah. I'm still in touch with her until now. And people will dare not go into her room, and whenever people see her coming out from her room, everybody will, Habibah! They will just not wanting to see her, But she has a soft spot. So I think it is about understanding the leaders and know when exactly you want to then use that soft spot for the right reason, not for bad intention and all. So I'm kind of a person who is quite persistent in terms of getting certain things that I would like to have. Notwithstanding she's Habibah or whoever. So one thing that had happened because in accounting firm usually you'll be in assignment again. So you will have your team and also I was a senior, I was a semi-senior during that time. I have groomed 2 juniors, just joined, but within 6 months they have become one. The pool of the seniors want them to be in other assignments. And all I know, suddenly Habibah have removed all the two competent juniors that I have to other jobs, and I have nobody now. So I went to see her. And we have a conversation. She doesn't want to see me firstly, but I said, I don't care, I'm going to stand in front of your door until I get to see you lah. And then, I get into her room, and Habibah have a spot on underprivileged. She likes to hear talk about underprivileged lah. So I talk about one of the talent that I've actually coached, the junior person, coming from underprivileged and all. He can align to me very well, and because of that, he has been, he has actually reached certain competency, having the right leader, coaching the person. So, but now you are removing him from the job. He might not then be led by a senior who understands him well. So why not you then be able to, why not you just let him stay? And I got what I want lah. So the thing is about understanding the leader, no matter how tough they are, that would be able to know when do you want to push and push the stop and also the start button. I think that's very, very important. And if you are able to really push the start button at the right time, then you will be among the favorite ones lah. I can also relate the story again about coming to office very early again. So Habibah always came early to office. So I know she'll be at the office around 7:45 to 8. And I'm an early person as well. No matter working with the accounting firm, how late I work until, although it's 12 midnight or 3 a.m. in the morning, I will be at the office at 8. And she recognized that. And because of us, after a while, meeting each other at the car park, "Hey, Azura, you're here already." Whenever I'm not in the office, she will start asking around, "Where's Azura? Oh, she's out for, okay, I didn't see her today in the office." So you build, or you are able to be seen by people who might not be in favor of many, by doing certain things of, put that soft spot into her lah. But this is one of the things that I learned as well from Idris Jalla, my boss when I was in Malaysia Airlines. Do ordinary things extraordinarily. When you do certain things, just ordinary lah, example lah. I learned a lot when I was in accounting firm, because I'm just an average results person lah. Getting into an accounting firm, I was quite surprised that I got to join Big Four during that time. I think because of my sports, because I played basketball and all for states during that time kan. Trying to remember the things that I'm trying to get into. Sorry, what are the points that we are discussing right now? Suddenly I lost my...
Difficult leader.
Okay.
Some proposition.
Doing things, ordinary things, extraordinary.
Okay. So I have to go through tough times. I'm from University of Utara Malaysia, and majority of the employers or the new graduates that have been undertaken to accounting firm during that time is from University Malaya for accounting, because they are highly recognized lah. Yeah. So I'm one of the 20, I think, and I know that I'm average. I'm not as excellent as they are. So for every time that people have asked me to put through my assignment or work, if it's going to be Friday, I'm going to ensure that I'll be able to deliver by Thursday with quality. If I have to work extra hours, I will, because that is how you get yourself to shine, or you would be at par with the excellent ones lah. So putting a lot of effort, understanding how to do things extraordinarily is very important. You don't have to create new things to do, but on your things that you are doing on daily basis, how do you want to do it extraordinarily so that you'll be able to be shining or seen even by the tough leaders out there lah. So that's part of some learnings that I have through my experience.
Yeah.
Hi, Prof. Thank you. Yang Mulia, excellent sharing. Prof, coming back to your point of view, I think as a senior employees of the country, coming up through my career, I've met a lot of difficult leaders, be it female or male. That was the generation, and without a doubt, I would like to thank them for their difficultness because I think I wouldn't have been what it is today, who I am today, for those things. I have to agree with you that I've learned quite a lot more back then than it is now. Perhaps that was expected out of me as a senior leader now. Coming up through my career, I thought I should be, one of those. It did came across when I was adjusting my leadership style. But after a while, with different generation in the office, I have the youngest one, who are SPM leavers, as one of my team members. Some are of my son's age, 22 years old, and as the oldest are about to pension, I have a mixture of them in the office, and they all have different styles, different expectations. Their definition of values differs, totally dynamic, and somehow, this is my point of view. Somehow, whatever works before may no longer work now. And their attention spans are getting smaller. Their focus are shorter. Instead of us expecting them to understand we leaders, I tend to try to understand them more and accommodating, not so that the quality drops, but to push the quality and productivity a lot higher. So the way I go about it today is that perhaps the balance that I'm looking for is trying to accommodate and trying to facilitate for growth. And so we both get to learn with each other instead. And I'd like to add another part of balanced leadership factor, not because I came from WASTI and talking about technology and an innovation perspective, but technology aspect of it must be calculated into the formula of a balanced leadership. The past 15 years, personally, I find that leaders are gapping and losing out in being relevant. Many of time we fear technology presence. That should not be the way. A few months back we were having quite a conversation about GPT and AI technology, whereas it can be balanced out, and we as leaders need to have an inch or an ounce of braveness to go into it and meddle with it, try to understand it. Having a policy without understanding it is totally wrong. And when we make that mistake, we are denying our future leaders to come in much better than us. So I think we really need to be maybe not professional and really, good in technology adoption, but to be enough, to know enough, to understand enough, to be there, to use it just enough so that we know how the rest of them can leverage further on. Thank you so much. That's all from me.
Thank you.
And for me, that comes with empowerment. Sometimes for the youngsters, what I see is they want to be empowered. The other one is they want to be recognized. Recognized doesn't mean that you have to promote them or give them money or give them increment, but at least to recognize that they have done a good job. So with the young ones, usually when it comes to technology, usually that's the part that top end. So we'll try to empower. It's good to give them empowerment and recognize when they have done a good job. that really helps to motivate them and inspire them to do even much better moving forward lah. They love to have trophies, yeah. And
Anyone else has any questions?
Just sharing. We mentioned about organizational culture. Personally, I have that experience at one time when we wanted to mood up the culture of collaboration in the university, because it's so crucial that you are able to converge knowledge to produce new knowledge. For example, if we take mechanical and electronics to produce mechatronics, there is a convergence of discipline. What I would like to share is that if you have to be mindful about your governance structure, because your governance structure have got a role in producing the culture that you desire. In the university, for example, we are so used to the culture of competition. We measure performance based on KPI achievement of each individual. In fact, we may even go to the extent of, if you are doing research and if you're the principal author, you have got different point, more point than your second author. We may go to that extent with the intention of pushing up knowledge to the next level. Yes, that's fine. But be mindful, such a structure may not favor the culture of collaboration, because it will instill more of a culture of competition. So my point is, when you talk about organizational culture, be mindful. This is sharing what I experienced. Be mindful of the governance structure that you put in place. You may produce a culture that favor your purpose, or may even negate your purpose. Yeah, I mean that's just another point. But we spoke about it, the organizational culture. I don't know if you have that experience with you. Yeah.
I mean that's where creating the collaborative culture seems to be the way forward. That's how I see it lah. And we used to look at organization having the silo mentality before, and sometimes they may not adapt and adopt the whole culture of the organization, and they just pick and choose to see which culture then provide the best outcome for them lah. That's how I see it. And but in terms of when we talk about collaboration, it's actually bringing everybody together. And in this juncture, especially after COVID again, we can see that even in the bigger picture, now I'm a social entrepreneur. I used to be an auditor, corporate leader, nation builder, now social entrepreneur. So you can see the change of landscape in terms of what it has been before for trainers and also for social entrepreneurs. Because we know that if we cannot live if we don't collaborate. So instilling the collaborative culture is very, very important. And now whenever we want to send a proposal, instead of sending a proposal, each and every organization or each and every social entrepreneur set up, we now collaborate to send a proposal together. Because sometimes what we have missed out is how do we leverage on each other's strength to ensure that an organization or an entity will be able to even strive further to be a successful organization. And that is where sometimes we miss out, because we are looking at competition instead of collaboration. So organization value now, I can see most of the big companies are putting that as part and parcel of their values. Yeah, working in a team or collaboratively working. And even now when we want to hire new hires, whether or not they be able to then be a collaborative team members, very, very important. And working as a leader. Yeah, leader is about, key stakeholders. You need to be able to engage and also manage key stakeholders. If you are not a collaborative person, it's not going to be at your favor lah. So totally agree with you.
Okay, before we end, I think Puan Raja Azura, you want to show us some slides that you prepared for the, yeah.
It's almost time. Oh,
No,
I didn't realize
2
that
hours, yes.
actually.
It's a very
Okay.
engaging conversation.
Okay. I really thank everybody for the time spent today. I learned a lot today as well. As much as you learn from me, I am learning from all of you. Learn new knowledge every day. I hope that I have been able to instill kindness to you as well. One thing that I have to do every day. I'm actually a singing motivator. So I'm going to sing a song, but not just with the song, but I have a slides that I have prepared in terms of the traits of extraordinary leaders that maybe I hope you would be able to learn from. This song is titled Hero, Mariah Carey. It's a song which is so close to my heart because whenever I'm down, whenever I want to inspire people, whenever things are not going into the right direction, I will always think about a hero, and the hero is actually our own self. Sometimes we always depend on our idols, people surrounding us to inspire us, but the most importantly is about putting ourselves into the shoe of a hero and know that we are our own hero. So, okay, just be here, right? There's a hero. You look inside your heart. Don't have to be afraid of what you are. There's an answer. You reach into your soul. The sorrow that you know will melt away. Then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on. You cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. When you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. You finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. It's a long road when you face this world alone. No one reaches out a hand for you to hold. You can find love if you search within yourself. The emptiness within will disappear. When a hero comes along with the strength to carry on, you cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. When you feel like hope is gone, look inside you and be strong. You finally see the truth, that a hero lies in you. Lord knows dreams are hard to follow. Don't let anyone tear them away. How long there will be tomorrow? In time you'll find your way. Then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on. You cast your fears aside, and you know you can survive. When you feel like hope is gone, finally see the truth that a hero lies in you. That a hero lies in you.
Can we give a round of warm
Thank you.
That's honestly, yeah. Honestly, it was a very, yeah, what a way to end. Awesome, yes. Very inspiring, definitely. A hidden talent, indeed.
Have you got another song?
Thank you so much, Juan. I think we learned so much, and I think it touched our hearts too. Even me, it was something I learned. It was amazing. You shared a lot with us, and we're truly grateful for that. We had a lot of good dialogues and conversations here as well today,
I would
and
like to thank all of you for contributing and also participating. I think it's a good session that we have the two-way interaction. Yeah.
thank you everyone as well for your support and for attending the session. I'll just pass the mic back to MC.
Oh my God, what a wonderful song just now. And I sing along to it while reading the quote, and I was like, oh my God, what a beautiful voice. And first of all, before I finish this, wrap up this thing, I want to just add to Yang Mulia Raja Azura. When you talk about when you're 8 years old, you do your SWOT, and just reminiscing, what did I do when I was 8 years old? Oh my God, girls. And then also, I can, as a woman, I also can relate from the part of hungry. Hungry, yes. I understand when we are hungry, we can tend to get angry, right? All right. So I can thank you so much, Ever, for this session. It's very wonderful and inspiring. So friendly reminder to our guests, on the screen there are QR code. Please, I really hope everyone be able to spend their time to scan and complete the evaluation form for the purpose for better improvement in our next session. And also, I think probably Mr. Tia, we have a good next conversation, I think, feminine and masculine leadership.
Wow.
Yes, it's an interesting
Something to be
topic, right?
considered.
Yes, considered. Oh yes,
Indeed,
gender equality. Yeah, there's a heroes.
Every one of us.
If you look inside your heart. Okay, for after you guys finish your evaluation forms, we would like to invite everyone for a group photo first in front, and then we have a refreshment and little bit of drinks after wonderful session. Thank you so much. Please help yourself in front. Take our group photo first at the RSOG lobby. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Karaoke. After I.